to Americana, your go-to source for all the latest news on the 2024 presidential election. I'm your moderator, Raquel Herring, and I'm joined by our Democratic host, Shakia Moore, and our Republican host, Willie Montague. With just 4 days remaining until Election Day, the battle between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is heating up like never before. Let's jump right into today's campaign highlights and see what's happening on the trail. While campaigning in Arizona, Donald Trump ramped up his rhetoric, referring to former Representative Liz Cheney as a war hawk and stating she should be fired upon. Let's take a look.
She's a radical war hawk. Let's put her with a rifle standing there with 9 barrels shooting at her, okay? Let's see how she feels about it. You know, when the guns are trained on her face. You know, they're all war hawks when they're sitting in Washington in a nice building saying, oh, gee, let's send 10,000 troops right into the mouth of the enemy.
Willie, with Election Day only 4 days away, what do you have to say about Trump's use of this violent rhetoric?
You know, it's very interesting that we use words like violent rhetoric. If you actually listen to the context of what he was saying, because she is a war hawk, as we know her father as well was a war hawk, imagine sending 10,000 troops over into these war zones and seeing what it feels like. So he's referencing, said, put her out there and see how she feels. This was not him saying that he wanted to shoot her and have her. This is the typical radical left's ideology to twist things and pervert the truth. And if you go back and listen, it is very clear. And I know that President Trump is not ignorant to get up and say, let's go out there and put her in front of a gun and let's let somebody shoot her. So if that's what people get out of that, then they need to go back and listen again.
Okay, thank you, Willie. Shakia.
I'm not sure if we heard the same video clip or not. Like, the man literally said to put a gun in front of her face and just fire off rounds. For a former president and a candidate that's running for re-election to sit in the highest seat of the land, to say rhetoric like that about a female shows the character and the true heart of a person. Many people will hear that clip and do what my colleague just did, just overlook it and, you know, deflect and say that it wasn't what he meant. This is what I mean by that. Trump has a cult that he can do no wrong in the eyes of his followers. He can literally not even just rob a bank at this point. He literally just told y'all what we should do to Liz Cheney, who is an American woman who served this country despite what her father did back in the day. She is currently a woman that is on the trail alongside Vice President Kamala Harris to make sure that she sits in the Oval Office. So if y'all don't believe that this is real, like this is a thing that's really happening with the American people, like y'all need to wake up. Like it's a real thing.
She's a losing woman. That's why the Republican Party censored her, because she's a loser.
Again.
But
same
congratulations.
Right. With just days left until election, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are in Wisconsin, each making a final push to sway voters in this key battleground state. Harris' campaign officials are projecting confidence, claiming they lead among undecided voters by a double-digit margin. Shakia. Could Harris's projected lead among undecided voters truly shift the momentum in her favor to narrow this race?
I mean, it's great news, you know, that she has a slight edge above Donald Trump. However, we won't know anything that's concrete until Election Day. So we're going to see this dance. We're going to see this tango. But I'm looking forward to seeing the waltz on November 5th. You get what I mean? But, you know, with Wisconsin, like I mentioned yesterday, Wisconsin holds 10 electoral votes. And so with her gaining momentum in Wisconsin and also having an edge over in Michigan, I think, who also has like 15 electoral votes, and with them now being neck and neck in Pennsylvania, I think, you know, if Donald Trump continues doing interviews like he did the other day, talking about Liz Cheney, we're going to see the momentum go ahead and, you know, fall over in Harris's favor. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to play out on November 5th.
Yeah. Okay, Will.
It will be President Donald J. Trump. As you know, these three swing states, which they call the Blue Wall Street, is because these are hard-working Americans in these particular states. And if anyone knows about hard working, it is President Donald J. Trump. It is not VP Harris. The only thing that she knows is how to stay buried beneath the basement with Sleepy Joe Biden.
So you want to talk about hard working? We have the only candidate who has worked at the local, state, and federal level to run for office.
Arresting black and brown people.
So if we want to talk about arrests, we can talk about Donald J. Trump's 34 counts that he is now a convicted felon, and yet he still is able to run for the highest office of the land.
How many felons out there got your rights
back? And if you want to talk about legitimacy and hard working, the fact that he went to a McDonald's just to prove that Kamala Harris worked there in her younger days shows that he really doesn't have the American heart at hand. He went there to make a mockery of people who work in fast food. So do you have anything to say about that?
VP Harris went to church to pretend like she cared about Christians.
Really? And Donald Trump is selling Bibles with his name on it. So we can go toe for toe.
There's plenty of
Bibles.
What you want to do? And there's plenty of Bibles in
He's selling Bibles. He's selling gold sneakers.
Christian bookstores
he's selling
that have other people's name on it.
watches. Like, he's really trying to capitalize on the American people while asking them to vote for him for office.
He came up with a video and stated, if you do not have the funds because it's hard times, don't spend the money.
Why would a president or someone who was running for the highest office of the land ask and sell items during a campaign?
Do you not know?
Like, that sounds like brokey to me. Like, that sounds like he's really begging for money.
Are you not aware that political campaigns cost money, and that I'm very sure
does cost money.
That VP Harris sat in fundraisers with tickets probably well over $100,000? It takes fundraising money to be able to be a president, vice president, whatever it is, it costs money.
Okay, so we're going to move to the next one. Next topic. With Election Day just 4 days away, stay tuned for the latest updates from the campaign trails of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Now let's move on to political programs. All right, abortion remains a central issue for Kamala Harris, shaping her political journey from U.S. Senator to Vice President, and now as a key point in her campaign. Meanwhile, she and Donald Trump stand on opposite ends on the spectrum. I mean, just opposite. And this deeply polarizing topic, Democrats often advocate for minimal government involvement in women's reproductive rights, while Republicans argue that Trump's stance protects the lives of the unborn. Willie, we've covered abortion several times here on Americana, but let's get to the bottom line, like the brass tacks. Where exactly is the disconnect between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris on this issue? And should women be concerned about the future of abortion rights in America?
Yeah, there is a disconnect, and women should be concerned. They should be concerned that you have individuals who are women that are advocating, especially with the high numbers of black and brown children that are aborted. I brought something for you guys. You know, I always bring
Typical.
something. I want to read this, and I'm going to pass it over to Kia here. In 2021, it was 625,978 abortions. 2022, it was 976,800 abortions. And in 2023, a 10% increase, there was over 1 million abortions. That is 2,602,778 babies that have been aborted from 2021 to 2023. Now get this, that is enough to fill the state of Nevada. If you are not concerned about the lives of the unborn, and we parade around, as I said this last time, we parade around for the pro-black, and we want children to go out there and be doctors, lawyers, HBCUs, hurrah, hurrah. If you kill them before they can even have an opportunity to be madam or vice president or a congress member, what are you saying about the condition of America? And it has absolutely nothing to do about the government overseeing the womb. We are, as Republicans, for limited government. So I yield my time.
Are you finished?
I'm finished.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely finished.
It's about to be real good, Will.
Okay.
So what my colleague here failed to tell you in those high numbers is whether they were either raped or they were brutally not domesticated, but they were brutally hurt, or if there was a medical emergency that caused the woman to have an abortion. What we fail to realize is that we have this notion in America that when women ask or need or request for an abortion, it's because of leisure activities. There are a number of women who use IVF and there is a failed pregnancy. There are a number of cases where children, you want to talk about kids, are either raped or abused, molested, and they are carrying their assailant's baby, and they are forced to carry them to term. So what we're saying as a Democratic Party is that the government should not have a say-so in the matter if a woman needs to choose between her health or the risk of her child. That should be between the partner and the provider, not the government. The abortion right now is there are 10 states right now that have abortion on the ballot. And so at the end of the day, we're going to see a lot of voters lean towards this issue. It's a human right. And the Republican Party has this thing where they are all up in arms about the unborn, but yet when black and brown babies are born, they want to shoot them dead still, because we're still not banning assault rifles. We're not providing them housing, but yet they want them to be born. So pick a side.
Fake news,
coming up next, sorry, Willie, we're going to come back. Coming up next, find out what's been trending on social media, and we have the latest poll, so stay tuned. We'll be right back after this commercial break. Is joining us on the live. Before commercial break, we had a heated discussion about abortion. So we're going to continue this conversation, but I have a question, because you mentioned about, protecting the unborn children. People are like, kids could get to grow up to be able to, move forward in life. However, are we really committed to protecting the children that are born as we are the ones that are not born, or, are hanging out there with program cuts like Head Start? Growing childhood poverty, a lack of access to quality health care and education that's even affordable, so they'll be able to support themselves. You have like the foster care system packing up. There's childhood homelessness. What do we do about that?
So to go back to what she was saying, when she gave the numbers about the rape and so forth, I just wanted to be very clear, that is less than 1%. And to answer this question...
Why does that even matter?
Because it's
important. Woman being raped and being forced to carry the assailant's baby, that's nasty.
You're bringing it up, and I'm helping you to understand it's less than 1%. We don't want those things to happen, but it is less than 1%. Mm-hmm. You're going to punish 99% of the population due to 1%. It is punishing it because you're killing children who have never had an opportunity to sit on the same place where you're sitting. So I think what
we're really confused about, and what the Republican Party seems to contort, is that they're hiding behind the mask of Christianity or other religious beliefs. I'm mentioning it because we know it's prevalent. It's an elephant in the room. Oh, sorry. Got to wrap this up.
Yes. Well, that was great conversation for the 2 minutes. Welcome back to the 2024 presidential election. Has been trending across all social media platforms. Let's take a look at some of the most recent social media updates. A Halloween parade float featuring a Trump costume and men with sniper rifles leading a Kamala lookalike in chains has sparked local reactions. Shakia, what does this float say about the current political climate?
It's a depiction of what's to come if we elect Donald Trump and J.D. Vance into the office. This is typical because we've seen this type of heated and violent rhetoric from the Republican Party. And I can't even just quantify all of the Republicans to be this way. There are different levels within the Republican Party. You have MAGA and you have dark MAGA. We have the dark MAGA and the MAGA fools who are the ones that are uplifting this hateful, demeaning, and very misogynist rhetoric. And so for them to parade around with a Kamala Harris lookalike, who is currently the vice president of the United States, walking along a street in Pennsylvania, that is a modern day visualization of a lynching. Like, do we not see this as a problem? And for her to be the sitting vice president of the United States and that not be taken serious, like, we are in dark times if folks are thinking that this is okay.
The Democrats said absolutely nothing when whatever that lady name is, Griffin or whatever, held a bloody, decapitated head of Donald J. Trump. And
when was that?
Exactly. That's the point. You guys will pick and choose what it is that is violent and vicious, and do not respond.
Fake news?
To the do not respond back to the things that the party does or the people that represent the party does themselves. So I'm just gonna rest it there. When you have a chance, and we can pull that up maybe later.
That would be great.
Please show the picture of that decapitated, bloody head of President Donald J. Trump, and please tell me what Democrat said anything concerning that. But now we're talking about this. So,
but to be clear, like, I'm not saying that one side is right or wrong, but the thing is, you don't see a high level of publicity of there being a demeaning act of violence towards the Republican Party. We don't see. I have not seen that.
And if I do, up and down the streets, and I have this. Streets of Florida. I have walked up and down. Look, I have walked up and down. I have walked up and down. I'm serious. I myself have encountered this stuff that has come from the radical left, BLM, and different groups. Myself, from having to be walked with guards, having tires flattened, having people standing up at birthday.
But where did that come from?
Where did it come?
It
came from the fact that I say that I'm a Republican, and that's a problem. I don't go knocking on Democrats' doors and say, hey, let me go and flatten your tires because you're a Democrat. I live in a house with Democrats all of my life. I didn't go flatten my mother's tires.
In other news, Mark Cuban recently stated on The View that you never see Donald Trump in the company of strong, intelligent women. Take a look.
Donald Trump, you never see him around strong, intelligent women. Ever. It's just that simple. They're intimidating to him. He doesn't like to be challenged by them. And, you know, Nikki Haley will call him on his nonsense with reproductive rights and how he sees and treats and talks about women. I mean, he just can't have her around. It wouldn't work.
Willie, what are your thoughts on this?
This man is garbage. Listen, let me explain. He goes and he says this, that this is a slap in the face to women, period.
Okay.
Because you're trying to say that all of the women that's ever been around Donald J. Trump are women who are low quality women. That's not true. Just because they support, even if you support VP Harris, I would not have said that. Even if you support Donald Trump, there's no need to say that, because we got a women's rights activist here.
Sure is.
So with that being said, how do you feel about that?
I mean, any woman that's sitting around Donald Trump, I mean, I would advise you to be aware, because he will grab you by I can't even say what the word is on camera, but just be careful. But I think, you know, and I think it's true. Like, he is intimidated by strong women, which is why I think he is so enamored and infatuated with Kamala Harris. And it's actually deplorable. I'll use that word because that's what Hillary Clinton said. I definitely use it. But in this instance, it's true. Like, how do you not value the brilliance and the qualities that a woman would bring to the table? That just shows me that you are just okay with patriarchy, and you're uncomfortable when another woman can come and challenge you respectfully on the things that you may be wrong about. So he wants men around him that will coddle him, that would just do whatever he says. It's actually language of a dictator.
Fake news again, folks.
You can trust that we will fill you in on the latest news and social media updates. And on that note, let's check in on the latest polls. As of November 1st, 2024, national polls show a tight race, with Kamala Harris at 48% and Donald Trump at 46.8%. both within the 3% margin of error. Shakia, what are your thoughts on this?
As much as I want to do cartwheels and backflips and do the Tootsie Roll, I can't. I got to save my excitement until Tuesday. And honestly, I don't even think we're going to know the winner on Tuesday.
Right.
Because there's just so many different factors that's happening right now. We have Georgia that could potentially go through some legal stuff right now because of voting sites and all those things. And so although she has an edge right now, I do hope and pray that she continues that over the weekend. You have a few places that are still holding early voting, possibly ending tomorrow or either on Sunday, wherever, depending on what state you're in. But yeah, I mean, I just need Auntie Kamala and Uncle Walls to keep this together until Tuesday.
Yes, Willie.
So I'll say this. So polls is a snapshot. It's not an actual thing of what's going on. This is, to be clear, this is not showing who has voted in the percent. Voting is private. We have no clue whether Democrats vote for Trump or whether vice versa, what's going on. So right now, as it says, there's a 3% margin of error.
I mean, it's public knowledge after they vote.
No one knows that Shakia, voted for Harris.
No, it's public knowledge.
They know
after
that you voted for Democrat. They cannot go and see who you actually voted for.
Okay.
So though that is private knowledge, that's why you go behind the poll.
No, but I thought it was public knowledge. But I'll
that you voted.
Okay.
That you voted in the race. So reclaiming my time.
Claim it, really.
So I'll say this to say this, that this is just a snapshot. It's 3% margins of error. We will not know till November 5th. And as Shakia said, we don't know. There's going to be states that's going to hold it out. So, I would say, above all, people just need to vote. And that's on both sides. Whoever you support them strong, but make sure you go out and vote.
Okay, well, let's talk about this. According to a new Harris x Forbes poll, Vice President Kamala Harris holds a slight 49 to 48% lead among voters across all 7 battleground states, though it's statistically tied. Interestingly, though, 14% of swing state voters remain undecided, indicating that there's still potential for the race to shift. So, Willie and Shakia, what's your message once again to the citizens who have not made it to the polls yet?
I'll just say this without bringing in the Republican Party. If you are undecided, just do your research. But to be honest, we said this yesterday, most people should have already made a decision. When it's saying undecided, it's probably registering as NPAs or independents, not necessarily like they're not knowing who to vote for, but just that they have not been tallied to vote. So I do recommend that if there happen to be those that are undecided, you only have a few more days left to be able to make that decision. I would just say, whoever you support, do your research and do that. And I'll say this the ballot don't stop with President Trump, VP Harris. There are so many candidates on from school board. There's amendments. Please make sure that you research the amendment, your judges, council and commissioners. Your local level is very important because at the end of the day, that's actually what makes up the difference in your community.
So we actually agreed on something. We ended on a high note. Really, look at us. We're growing up. But I would have to agree. Like, if you are still undecided right now, I would really encourage you to sit with why. Is it because you are afraid to, and it may be a first-time voter, it may be so much information coming at you at once. There are so many different outlets that folks are giving you for information. There may be peer pressure from your family or your preference of belief, and so just sit with why you are torn with who you would vote for. But also, as Willie stated, it's not just the presidential nominations that are really big on the ticket. Your local government and your state elected officials also run your day-to-day lives. And so you have to make a decision on that as well.
I have one more question. What's your advice to Gen Z who might not realize the importance of voting?
This is your future. I'm a millennial. We have Gen Z. We have the beta. We have Gen Z Alpha and the beta generations that is coming up. And in this country we have right now the most generations alive at one time. So we still have baby boomers and X. So what I would say is you are the future. Your vote does matter, but above all, focus on what's around you and get involved locally. Not just go to vote, because we vote, municipality every other year, every 2 years, every 4 years. But don't let that stop you. Get engaged. You know, join some clubs and events that's around you so you can be involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree. We're doing really good right now. Oh my God.
They're agreeing on something.
I would have to agree. You know, it's overwhelming sometimes if you are just getting into the knowledge of politics. But right now with this election, there is a great chance that this could be the very end of a democracy that we all know it to be. And so if you want to have a voice, if you want to run for office one day, if you want to make a change within your community, I encourage you to vote because things could look different within this next election.
Okay. If you are watching us live on social media, stay tuned. We will continue this discussion and answer some questions live from all of our viewers. Thank you so much for tuning into Americana. Make sure you tune in Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. for the latest updates on the 2024 presidential election. Thank you for watching.
And ice. Probably some more ice.
Hello, y'all. Y'all don't have to be quiet now. We all on the.
You want me to say? If you're just tuning in, you are watching Americana, the platform where we serve you the latest updates on the 2024 presidential election. I'm your moderator, Raquel Herring, joined by our Democratic host, Shakia Moore, and our Republican host, Willie Montague. So right now, we are going to take questions, like we said, from the social media live audience and our studio audience. So bring them in. We're ready to make it happen. Oh. So let's answer some questions for from the live. Look at this. My iPad not this big. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Is Donald Trump language acceptable as related to Liz Cheney?
So I didn't say that on the show, but I mean it's not acceptable. Anyone that knows
You should have
me,
said that on the damn show.
well, y'all be cutting me short to reclaim my time. But I will tell you that no, I always say this, that anything that we have to watch, and I say that from Republicans to Democrats, but I truly do not believe that, and I know y'all would disagree, that was the intent of the conversation. Because, you know, we'll take clips out of something and we'll spin it like a whirlwind. So, you know, are we watching this cloud or not?
Okay.
No? Oh.
I'm looking
Y'all got me
here.
sold.
We're getting them in. Okay.
Y'all asked Shakia a question. Y'all was asking me a question.
They're all pointing to you.
Look, I'm trying to take a break.
How many of you are going to make your way to the polls this weekend to cast your vote?
This weekend? Okay, we got one person.
Absolutely.
You have a question?
Oh, nice. Hi.
Let's go. Count the votes.
I'm election day.
Oh, your
That is
election
my
day?
tradition.
I'm getting
Yeah.
up way early in the morning because the line's going to be long.
This year, I'm going to take my kids with me so
That
that
was
they
it.
can experience it.
Oh, you're going to take your kids with you so they can experience it? Oh, that's good.
it. I just hope they don't go in there and tear up the stuff.
They won't. Your
Okay.
kids are really good.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Any questions from the studio audience?
Y'all said y'all had questions. Do you have a question today? Okay.
Okay, we have some. Okay, can we get them the mic?
Don't we want them to come over?
And to all of our viewers who are watching us live, if you are voting for former President Trump, let us see you drop some red hearts in the chat. And if you're voting for Vice President Kamala Harris, let us see you drop some blue hearts in the chat.
Well, first and foremost,
And we have a question from our live studio audience. Thank you.
so to Willie, and I noticed I met your two proteges out here before I came in, and so I give you mad respect for pouring yourself into those young gentlemen. And I just hope that you continue to point them in the right direction. My question is, how can you day and night, well, first, let me give you a little background about myself. I'm from Washington, D.C., and I grew up in a house with a Republican father and a Democratic mother. And I'm a little older, of course. See that little gray hair and the lack of hair.
Looks good.
But anyway, I was torn for a lot of years because of, the back and forth at the dinner table. And my father was a staunch Republican. He loved Richard Nixon and Spiro Agnew. Back in the day, that was in '68. You weren't born yet. But anyway, and you all know from history what happened with Nixon. And so for a while, I was a Republican. And I never shared that with you, Raquel. But I changed parties after Ronald Reagan, only because he was a staunch supporter of South Africa during the Mandela times, and I just couldn't fathom how a man who proclaimed to have a heart for the people could see a certain segment of people be tortured, degraded, and just, lambasted for years and years and years. Okay. But anyway, I just hope that one day that you will look at the facts. And I know that you like facts, but Donald Trump has a history of being lambastic, lying, and a deceiver of all things. He's hurt people, not allowed them to flourish in his arena, and that's what concerns me about him. I mean, I would have voted for him if he would have stood for something, but he stands for nothing. You can't tell me one policy that he's implemented that people have benefited from. And I challenge you to ask that question. Answer that question now. Here you are.
Thank you.
Give it to me. Here you go. So as I said, actually I was talking about this last night. Yes, thank you. And I'll go this. I'm glad you said that. See, I can't wait. So everybody kept saying the plan. I had to go get the plan because y'all said he had a concept. There's 16 pages of a plan.
Oh,
and
16 pages.
16.
I'm sorry, no.
Well, how many pages does Harris have?
Way more.
Okay,
16.
thank you.
It's
Moving along,
thorough.
reclaiming my time.
It's thorough.
So that's it. So this is why I say good to see you, Dr. White. But I would say this is. I want this to be very clear.
Okay.
And I said this yesterday. I want y'all to hear me. When we're on this show and we're having conversation, we have two presidential nominees. It's Harris, it's Trump. Mm-hmm. That's the conversation at hand. If you speak to me as a Republican, and I've said this several times before, where I stand as a Republican and what it is I do, I believe, now this is, and I want this to be clear, when I say it's Trump's plan, this is the Republican Party platform. And the reason why you guys have not seen Trump come out, and I had to go research this and dig it up, was because he wants to follow what the RNC put together, not the Project 2025, what the RNC put together during the convention to be able to lead with this, okay? So I want that to be clear. So when I talk about the support, it is for the Republican Party and this platform. And I suggest you just go and look up the platform. I printed out, I read over it, and see. And I say this before. This is not a hate with Shakia and I.
Yeah.
Y'all can ask a question. Ask Shakia a question, please.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well then, can we talk about maybe Project 25? And I know that's not like his plan. But as I said before, Reagan administration implemented nearly half of the ideas, right? And then here you have Trump administration embraced 64% of those policies in 2016. So, and this is based on what the Heritage Foundation said, and J.D. Vance apparently has written quite a bit of this Project 25. Thank you. So, how do we take this Project 25 and him adopting so much of it? Shakia.
Willie over here contemplating. I don't think as much as Donald Trump disassociates himself from Project 2025, there's too many people in his camp that have ties to it. J.D. Vance in particular, who was his running mate. And so as much as he wants to distance himself, it's too late. I believe he wants to distance himself from Project 2025 because it received so much backlash at the onset of his campaign. And so now that everyone is starting to read or either get the cliff notes of the 900 pages of Project 2025, it's alarming. It's a blueprint of a democracy that is being shattered. That is an outline of what an authoritarian government would look like should we elect those two into the Oval Office. And if you haven't read it, there are a ton of different websites that you can go to and just get the cliff notes, because ain't nobody trying to read 900 pages of that. But it's in detail. It outlines the different areas of government, the different areas of healthcare, the different areas of the economy that will all be impacted should we elect Donald J. Trump into office. He would be the sole authoritarian of our government.
Okay, I have a few comments. As a Christian, if you don't know the policies, you should vote for the candidate that is against abortion.
That is a question, or is that a comment?
That's a comment, and that's from a user named Common that goes by Common Sense. Spencer, AHRENDTS. You fight what you can fight. You fight what you can fight in it, and find middle ground where you can hold them accountable. That's it. Trump 2024.
Can I interrupt you real quick,
Yes.
Raquel? Because I do want us to talk a little bit about Christianity and this topic of abortion, and how it has been warped and weaponized against folks who need access to health care, right? So I know we've talked off camera about our stance on this, but as a society, I think we have really, and I say we because I am a believer of Jesus Christ. I'm gonna make that very clear. But in me believing in Jesus Christ, I also know that he has given me a choice to serve him. Me serving him, my relationship with him may look different from what Willie does or subscribes to. It may look different from what you all in the audience may subscribe to. However, my convictions are my convictions, and I am not okay with the government telling me what I should and should not do with my body and my choice. I think we have distorted what choice means in this sense, and the white evangelicals who subscribe to this, who was at the helm of banning abortion, has weaponized this against people because of that. And so in America, we have a diverse population who may not subscribe to Christianity. So what happens to that? Like, where is their moral compass to that? They may not have the same convictions as a Christian does. So where is that in the conversation?
So I would like to say this, and most people do not know this. I am a pastor and have been pastoring for 20 years. Started my first church when I was 16. So I want this to be very clear what I'm getting ready to say. Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2. It speaks about presenting your life as a living sacrifice. Mm-hmm. In all other religions, and because we're not on air and y'all can believe what you want, I'm talking about me. Mm-hmm. In all other religions, it does not require a human sacrifice, meaning this scripture says present your life. You lay down your life, and when you present your life, you're taking on that life and the characteristics. The term Christian is only mentioned in the New Testament 3 times. In other words, that is not the term we actually would want to use because it's a derogatory term. The term would be ambassador. Mm-hmm. And an ambassador represents the place from which they came, where the ambassador is, which would be Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And so because we are a representative of Jesus Christ and we are his ambassadors, the Christ part, the Christian part is the likeness to Christ, meaning we resemble him. We're supposed to do and act and speak and move in the fruit of the Spirit. But the ambassador part talks about the duties of Christ. Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned a key word that is very important, Republican, Democrat, in between, convictions. Mm-hmm. And most of the individuals who are pro-life is saying, this is my conviction. Mm-hmm. And the people that I speak to are voting their conviction. Mm-hmm. Now, on the government side, government has to take some position of something. And that's the position that those individuals are taking.
But they're taking it, but they're mandating it for a national ban.
There is nothing about a national ban, and I spoke about that. I spoke about this a couple of shows ago, that there was no national ban. And in fact, President Trump came back and said that he was not for. He corrected what. Well, first he came back and didn't answer it. He didn't answer the question. Then he came back and said he was not for. What's happening? He was not for the national ban at all. So they wrapping us up.
Oh, they're wrapping us up.
Again, we have a question from the audience, but again, to all the viewers who are watching us live, if you are for Donald Trump, please put some red hearts in that chat. And if you're voting for Kamala Harris, please put your blue hearts in the chat. And now for our studio audience question. Please state your name.
Oh. All right.
Hello. Okay. Hey, friends, family, and loved ones. My name is Danny Adams, and of course, I have a question for Willie. Willie, are you implying here? You brought a wrinkled piece of paper. You didn't bring all the facts. Are you implying that women should be forced to have children and die just to have them, so you can see children that the government doesn't want to take care of anyway? Because I've been a caseworker. I work in the city, and there's not a lot of resources coming to the living children. Also, I just want to say that you brought up, and I'm going to make my question brief. Real brief, but you brought up some things about why women choose to have abortions. A lot of those times it's economic reasons. Shakia over here mentioned medical reasons. And you haven't sat here and said very clearly if you think that women should be able to have safe abortions, because this ban is not going to stop abortions. What it's going to stop is health care.
So thank you. I would say I work in the inner cities, just like you. I work with young men who are born and who their parents, their mother chose life. So what I would say to you is my stance is pro-life. I'm not moving from that. So what you see, what you hear on the show and what you're hearing now, you're asking questions because we want Americana. But as far as Willie Montague, that's my stance. Now, if you want to argue back and forth, that's where you stand. But I would make it very clear. I work in the inner cities. I work with children. I've taken kids who parent wanted to abort them, and they called me. I told them to keep it. I would take the child. So I cannot speak for everybody else, but I personally, Willie Montague, has a house in Orlando, have raised kids, taken kids, helped them with no government funding, absolutely whatsoever. We raised it from the community. I have walked out there and I've been to school board meetings. I talked to parents. So if you want to talk about what's going on the government side, I can't speak of. But for Willie Montague, I do my due diligence and I serve. That's why I speak about saving the kids' lives, because I work with children and I believe their lives matter, just like the lives that you protest and walk up and down the street as Black Lives Matter and protesting for the grown behind men that should be incarcerated.
Okay. So here is a statement. Lisa Rollins says, abortion is not health care. If you love Jesus, live in a way that glorifies him, not satisfies yourself. Shakia.
Oh, yes, sister, whatever your name was on this thing.
Lisa Rollins.
Yes, Sister Lisa, you are absolutely right. But again, America is comprised of so many different beliefs and religions and faiths. So we can't force someone to believe in the power of Jesus Christ. That is your conviction. That is my conviction. However, that is not the masses. And so just as you are convicted and you decided, you chose to follow Christ, why isn't that same choice given to people to live their lives how they seem fit? Whether you subscribe to Buddha, whether you subscribe to Allah, whatever faith compels you to move about in this life, I feel honestly that you should be compelled and convicted by your own moral compass. We talked about this the other day on the show about how the United States was built on Christian principles. Those Christian principles didn't have folks that look like me and you, Lisa, if you are a Black woman, in mind. Like the slave, and we're not gonna get into all this because you're wrapping me up, but yeah, no, girl, no.
Are you trying to say that if you take away rights and a woman doesn't have the right to make the decision with her own body, then that's like a form of slavery? Is that what
Yeah,
you're
it's a form of oppression.
Because at this point, would you say that, like, if you don't have rights to your own body and the government is deciding, then it seems like a slavery that one may feel like they're making a good decision on, but then it comes back almost like Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah, Handmaid's Tale. That's a real thing. And then also, hold on, Willie, but there is no legislation on a man's penis. So we talking about a woman's vagina and her reproductive rights,
that is
but
the
yet
part I
we're
wanna
not
get to.
bringing this to the table.
I'm going to bring it to the table for you because I have one.
On his
So let me
scrotum?
bring it to
Let's
the
talk
table
about
for
it.
you because I have one. So I'm going to tell you this.
You do.
Thank you. So
Thank
let's
God
bring
for that.
let's bring it to the table. So I want to be clear. Listen, we just spoke about, I'm going to talk about somebody, I forgot the point. Give me a minute.
Lisa?
No, not Lisa.
Okay. Christianity.
Oh, yeah, Christianity. But okay, we keep mentioning about that. And like I said, I understand there's rape, there's things that's happened. I've seen that and I've been around it because I work with victims of human trafficking. But this is why I want to say that part. Outside of that, right? Think about this. What about those who know, everyone that I know outside of maybe some of the kids know about the birds and the bees? So if you know what happens when you lay down with a man, because you say put rights on a man's penis, but I guarantee you, because someone else said, oh, well, we get away, the penis is the problem, but you don't stop looking for it. So if you're going out and you're going looking for it, you're going out having sex, and you know that you opening your legs and he going in there and he putting his seed in you, you already know it's either going to be, you can possibly get a disease, possibly get pregnant. So what's the answer to that?
There is an answer. There's still no legislation on your penis.
There's no legislation.
There is no
the legislation is not on your womb.
Project
It is to
2025,
protect
it does
a
not
life.
mention anything about to tango.
That is the error. I want to answer
It's
this.
still oppression on women.
Don't move me on, because I'm going to answer this. The legislation has nothing to do about the woman. It is protecting the life, the heartbeat, the cells, the bones, the muscles of a child that is growing on the inside of you. If you cannot understand that, then you are absent from the point of true life.
So
I'm done with
whoever
that.
you
Y'all can
marry
move on
or
with the next
whoever your
question.
partner is, I pray to God she doesn't run into a medical emergency.
Now, if you're just tuning in, you're watching Americana, the platform where we serve you the latest updates on the 2024 presidential election. I'm your moderator, Raquel Herring, joined by our Democratic host, Shakia Moore, and our Republican host, Willie Montague. And we're taking questions and comments from social media live, and we're also taking comments from the studio audience, and we have one right now. Please, sir, your question. Please introduce yourself. Oh,
nope.
We're going to get a mic in a second here.
Hello.
Okay. Hello. Okay.
Hello, hosts.
Hi.
I had a quick question for the next upcoming election. My name is Watley Demostein, and I had a question for both of our hosts here. My question is, as a Gen Z kid, what type of characteristics do you both think we should be looking for in a president for the next upcoming election? Okay.
Willie,
that's a really good question.
No, you go ahead.
What type of characteristics should we look for in a president?
The characteristics and personalities is one thing. I would say this, and thank you, Watley. This is one of the young men. I would say this, that I look at policy because at the end of the day, personality is all those things.
Nope.
Policy.
He ain't asked that. He asked
The
what type of characteristics.
These people are running for president, not Pope. That's it. Go ahead.
Say it again.
Willie.
Go ahead, Willie. Honestly, I think, okay, so to answer his question, is it Wally? To answer Wally's question, I think when you are running for the highest seat of the land, you should run with integrity. You should have some type of decorum. You should have couth. And you should have some type of compassion. We are not seeing that from the Republican nominees. I mean, I can't say that for J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance is actually slicker than Donald Trump. But Trump is at the top of the ticket, and he lacks all of those things. He lacks morals. He lacks integrity. And he's just a misogynist at the end of the day. I don't want him running me.
Well, let me give you some comments that's happening here. Jason James says, gaslighting. It's about the children. Women are becoming selfish.
Where your wife at?
Wow. Ben DeMonte,
He sounds
what
very
kind of
single.
Mickey Mouse panel is this? Oh, I shouldn't have
mama.
read that one.
And I shouldn't have said your mom.
Kendrick Tony said, the problem is abortion. It's not the same as when need one to live.
Why
That's
are there
why
so
there's
many men
separation of
commenting
church
on
and
this?
Because
state.
it takes a man to
Y'all-
produce. What is the? What, I don't
But
understand.
yet, here
for the
we are,
love
Willie,
of
we can go
God,
toe to
I have
toe
been
for
fighting this since 12th grade. Who needs a job?
There was a comment saying
what
these
men
men
don't
need a
work that
job.
you
They
know?
home bored.
You
They
around the
need a
wrong
job.
men.
That's the comment from the audience.
Well, get them off the internet. If you were a man that's on the internet, then you need to find another man.
I'm just saying at the
A
end of the
ghost
day.
of your nightmare says, so 77% says it's okay Trump to death threats per WTF.
You know what
Figure that out.
WTF means?
Scan the
Okay.
comments. She just reading every.
Oh, Jesus.
I was like, okay.
Who's next? I can't.
Okay, we have a studio audience. Please come in with your question. And please introduce yourself. Thank you all so much who've been asking questions. We appreciate it.
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic.
Great.
We're-
My name is.
We're going to get you a mic in a second. Here, maybe you could take mine.
Need yours.
It should be on right now. It's on right now, ma'am.
Is it
I
on?
think they cut off. Yeah, it's on.
Go ahead.
Okay. Is it on? There we go.
There we
All
go.
right. Okay.
Okay. Glad to be back here.
Thank you for
Yeah,
coming
thank you.
back.
And
Okay. And they would like for you to make your question quick.
okay, I'm gonna make it real quick.
Okay.
This is a Trump question.
Okay.
Not really a question, maybe even a statement.
Okay.
I've been being a native New Yorker, growing up and knowing about the Trumps, his father, his brother, family, living there. I'm always knew of them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
And I was okay with them. And I lived in the Trump buildings and things like that. I keep doing that, right? But I see a different Trump. And the different Trump is like wired. Not wired, you know what I mean? And it's hard for me now to want to vote for him or tell anyone to vote for him the way he has treated his brother and his father. So people in the family, unless you in that area and know of them, you wouldn't know these things that he has been doing to his own family. So if this person is this way with his own family, what is he going to be doing with us?
Willie don't care about that. Willie care
Okay,
about
so
policy.
let me say this
And so we judge it by the fruit.
again.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this again. I do not work for the Trump campaign. I am on Americana. I am answering on behalf of the Republican Party. I am a Frederick Douglass Republican. I am voting Republican. I have been a Republican since I was 14. I do not know what Trump. I said this before. I cannot speak for the Trump campaign.
Okay.
But DonaldJTrump.com. Go to Trump Force 47. Put the information in and hope that they contact you back, because there are some things I just cannot answer. I do not speak. I have never met Donald Trump. Okay, so I can't speak from that
Okay.
way. Just want to be clear before y'all keep coming with the Trump questions, because I can't answer for that. I only can answer from a policy standpoint based off of the belief system that I have as it pertains to the Democrats and the Republicans, because that's what this show is about.
Okay, so I believe I change. I'm a Democrat sometimes, and sometimes I'm a Republican. So I don't want it to be because he's a Republican. You know, I have switched back and forth over the years. My mother taught
Donald
me.
Trump has too. It's
Yes,
okay.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So it's not about that. I just want to make that clear with you.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just saying, and I'm going to end it, is that he, I think, is not in his right mind the way he used to be in a level mind. You know? So that's why. So sorry. I just think that he's not in his right mind. I don't think he should be there just because of these different things, his antics. So we need somebody that we can trust, and it doesn't matter whether they're a Republican or not. I just want somebody to come in there and do the right thing, and that's what we need, no matter what.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Okay, and to all the viewers who are watching us live, if you are voting for former President Trump, Let us see your red hearts in the chat. And if you're voting for Vice President Kamala Harris, let us see your blue hearts in the chat. And we have one more question from the audience member.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. Reverend, ladies.
Hi.
I listened with interest. And for you,
Yeah. I love
my
your
name
frames.
is Dr. V. Issa White. I was a congressional candidate for the Democrats. Willie and I are friends.
Oh, nice.
Everyone's my friend. But the first issue is that while you talked about abortion, how can you not talk about maternal mortality of African American women?
Yeah.
Which is really a greater issue than the issue of abortion, because black women are dying 10 times the amount than white when giving birth. Then when you talk about abortion, you don't say nothing about the fact that between the ages of 17 and 29, black women have 10 times more abortions than white and their Latino counterparts. Maybe there's another issue there that needs to be studied, and that's a serious thing. Then secondly,
What issue is that?
that issue may be an element of terrible health care, but it's not just with women who are poor. We see the same rate taking place with women who are affluent, educated, and across the spectrum. So there's something else that needs to be studied that the Democrats know no one is looking at. So therefore, what happens is that they put a storyline on us that, abortion, and really an abortion issue is something for the larger community. We have to focus on interest.
Sure.
And then the next question is that how can we support someone who is responsible for over 100,000 dead people in Gaza, over 100,000, 200,000 in the Sudan, as well over 300,000 in Yemen. So when we talk about those things and life, how can we ignore that? And being a Christian, that's a serious issue.
It is.
Thank you for the time.
Absolutely, and I'm gonna answer those as best as I can. So the first question, I didn't catch the question. I just felt like it was more of a comment. What was the question? Yeah.
Among African American women.
Okay, so if you are in Florida, Amendment 4 is on the ballot for you on November 5th. Amendment 4 will allow the government to refrain from interfering with medical decisions between a person and their provider. It will allow a person to have access to health care regardless of economic status or race, color, or religion, okay? So in Amendment 4, and in different organizations that are supporting Amendment 4, there are talks about how black women in particular, or black and brown women in particular, are disproportionately given health care whether they are asking for an abortion or not. We are seeing a high rate of mortality with women giving birth. I am blessed to have 3 children. I decided to have 3 kids on my own at my own timing with no health complications. But that is not the story for many women in this country. I was able to conceive naturally. There are a lot of women who may need help with IVF. If we elect Donald Trump into office, those things that I just mentioned will not be afforded to anyone, no matter if you were affluent, poor, or working class. The second question that he mentioned, I just lost train of thought. Does anybody remember? Gaza. So yeah, that is one issue that although I am a Democrat, I do not agree with the Biden-Harris administration on their stance on this and how we have handled supporting a genocide. So let's be very clear on that. Yes, I am a Democrat. There are values and morals that I do align with sometimes with the Republican Party. But at the end of the day, I fully support that Kamala Harris, once she gets into office, that she will do her absolute very best to have a ceasefire and that she will do right by those overseas and our foreign allies. And so that's all I can say on that. And I would have to kind of echo what Willie said. We are only here giving our personal opinion. We are not affiliated with any campaign for either party. So that's just my take on that.
I have a question and statement from Brandon Cruz. If women can get an abortion, if they feel they don't want the child, even if the man wants the child, then we should also add laws where men can sign off their parental rights. What do y'all think?
Go ask your mama what she would want to do.
And make it quick.
I don't have any other comment about abortion at this time.
No comments further about abortion. All right, so we had an online poll, and the question was, is Donald Trump's language acceptable as related to Liz Cheney? And the results show that 76% agreed and 24% did not agree. So we just wanted to update you on this poll. So thank you all so much for sticking with us. We truly enjoyed answering all of your questions. Make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at AfroTV. Thank you so much for watching.